Sisters of the shining moon, heaven, earth, and sea, I call upon you in this hour, bring magic unto me. Brothers, oh, the cauldron cries, it singeth unto me. Songs of Mother Goddess and of Father in the tree.
Hello, my lovelies. This is Paisley Wild, and we're off adventuring into the spaces between because, hey, it's an adventure. And for those of you on YouTube, you just saw me panically scrambling to get my batteries replaced on the old microphone. Yeah, good times. Love it. So, we are being broadcast live tonight on Truth Frequency Radio, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, and TalkStream Live, and also in on YouTube World. So if you are on YouTube, make sure you stop in and say hello. Or in one of the other chats, yes, say hello. And if you can't say hello in a chat, well, by golly, send me an email at wildpaisley@gmail.com. And that's WILDEPAISLEY@gmail.com. And then if you want to support the show, you can do that too. You can go to etsy.com/shop/Monarch Mountain Studio. That's MTN. Or you can go to patreon.com/thespacesbetween. And if you just want to support my insanity because you can, my cash tag is $thespacesbetween. And I have that in the chat. So, call line is open, so if you want to give me a holler, absolutely do so. If I don't pick it up right away, I'm not ignoring you. I just have ADD and I haven't looked yet. I'm sorry. I'll try better. I'll get better. I promise. I promise. But the call line, like I said, is open. It's 213-233-3998. Or if you're across the pond in the UK, it is 44203-393-2871. Hello, hello. So I hope you guys are doing great. Tomorrow night, we are moving on with the chakra series, and it was tomorrow night's the throat chakra. Yeah, so that'll be fun. And then next weekend, we've got the third eye chakra. And then the last in the series will be the crown chakra. Tonight, I do have a guest. Sam Michael has been on before, and we've had a really good time when Sam was here. He's a bit more of an apothecarist. I'm sure there's a fancy word there. He makes magic with herbs. So, as he's laughing at me, you guys can't see him yet. So, let's see if I can do this. Yay! There, I got the right screen. So, hey Sam, you are on the air. I think you should say something either.
Yes. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now.
There we go. I see myself over on my phone so that I can see what's going on.
Very cool. And apparently I missed. Oh. You know, I went through and I was setting up stuff, and it's like, wait, no, I'm doing this wrong. No, I'm doing this right. No, I did this wrong. So, yeah, it's a good time. And so they can see you, but they can't see me.
Oh, I see. It switched your camera. Got it.
Yeah, no.
I was looking at that. I'm like, I see a wall. Let's see.
So, what's new in your world?
Oh, busy working day job, which has been good. I'm figuring out more over here since, life with our current shenanigans has been entertaining.
Isn't that just the truth?
Yep.
Because, yeah, the shenanigans are, yeah, those are a good time. Yes. Now, you had already closed your apothecary shop, right? Before the shenanigans happened?
Yeah, it was right at the beginning that the decision was made, and then everything happened, and that process got sped up, and I was closed and moved over to the Oregon coast by April.
Okay. Yeah. It sounds like you decided to close down at kind of the right time.
Sounds like it. Yeah.
Suddenly.
And that area with, being that it's a college town and everybody's doing online schooling, it's not what it was before at all.
Truth. So, what's your website, real quick? You still.
Sure, it's trulymystical.live. TRULYMYSTICAL.LIVE.
All right, so I will have that in the show notes too for everybody, so you can check out Sam's goodies. And then our topic tonight. So Sam and I have been chatting off and on, trying to figure out, what we should do a show about. And it's a topic that is a little uncomfortable for a lot of people. It's actually pretty easy to talk about, unless you're talking about yourself. And then it's like nobody wants to talk about it. And it is, we're talking about structure. How many of us have structures in our daily lives, whether they're work, medical, romantic, friend, political, community, etc., that we exist within because it's what we know, and we're afraid to move on to something else? Because, I mean, how many people go to church, for instance? Because that's what they've always done. That's what they know. That's what they're comfortable with, even though they don't believe a single thing that's inside of the church. They don't believe in the Bible. They don't believe in anything. But they go to church and they go through the motions because it makes a family member happy, which I'm guilty of this one myself. Just because it was easier to not have that battle. And I went for the other person, not for myself, and then that was fine. But I mean, it wasn't really my belief, but yet I still go. Every so often I go to church just because it's the right thing to do sometimes. But that's for a different reason altogether. There's family. Family is the other F word. So, because how often do we do things that compromises ourselves for family? Seriously. So, I don't know. You want to start us off, Sam, or where do you want to go? What do you want to do? Speak.
I've been jotting some notes down since I got home from work.
Okay.
Started thinking more about what.
Yeah, your microphone just kind of stopped. Does your microphone hate me? You're not muted. I didn't touch it.
Do you hear me now?
Oh, I hear you now. You're not very loud, but I hear you. Are you still there?
Yep. Oh no.
Oh no, did you turn it off?
And then I unmuted it.
There you go. This is not a Pixar film. There can be a boom mic in the screen. It's okay. There you are. And now you're quiet. What?
Better?
Yes. So.
Okay, good. Alright, we'll just leave it there.
There you go. But no, a lot of people, and you see this, everybody knows of someone who is in a relationship that is not good for them. It's a toxic relationship, but they stay in it because they're afraid of being alone. Or they break up with someone and automatically they're seeing someone new because they can't handle that aloneness. And then that's just on the relationship. And not just, as a pagan or an intuitive witch, there's, sure, I fly by the seat of my pants pretty often when I'm doing things because that's the intuition kicking in. But, there is some structure. There are some forms that you do need to follow. So, what are your thoughts? What's your first thing you wrote down there?
First thing I wrote down was that it's not the same every day. Even if it's a day off or a day on, it isn't day on being work if that's something that you do, or if you work from home. But whatever you do day to day doesn't have to be the same routine. Even if you do have 8 hours of work in that, what you do outside of that doesn't have to be the same. I sometimes, as we all do, we get stuck in the rut of different things, and mine lately was coming home from work, eating dinner, watching Netflix, and going to bed. But what that didn't allow for was any wind down time for me, any cleansing time, kind of to wash off the day. And so it's important to be able to see when it's not necessarily working the way we want it to, or the way we need it to, rather. Because what we want and what we need and what we want are sometimes different things when we're not fully aligned and paying attention to our intuition.
Mm-hmm. Very, very, very true. So often we want the chocolate, but do we really need the chocolate? Most of us, no. Sadly, we don't need the chocolate. Hey, Lola. So, you're drinking wine. Shame on you. I have coffee. Anyways.
Yep.
Maybe after break. So yeah, so that's one illustration of structure that's in our daily life. That's not necessarily good for us. Actually, it isn't good for us at all. And instead of giving us our way to grow, it causes us to stagnate. The six-pack Joe stereotype is the person who works every day, comes home and has a six-pack of beer, works every day, goes home on the weekends and has a six-pack of beer or whatever. But the six-pack Joe, that's someone who has become a creature of such habit that they can't get out of that self-created structure. They're constantly that person, and I'm trying to be gender neutral here because everybody does it. Just everybody. Okay, anybody, maybe not everybody. Anybody can do it. They get so stuck in that rut or that self-created structure of habit that they cannot get beyond it, to let go of the negativity of the things they're doing that are bad for them, to move on to something else. It's like the person who's been diagnosed with lung cancer is told they need to quit smoking for their health, but they refuse because no, they're not gonna. You can't take away my cigarettes or whatever, and say, and it's just. In crazy, it's like it's not good for you. Stop smoking, or quit drinking. But that self-created structure, just they can't get out of it. And then we do the same thing in relationships. I've had people come to me and ask for advice on like relationship advice. It's like, hey, this relationship ended, and I'm really interested in this person. It's like, well, how long has it been since that relationship ended? They're like, oh, well, it's been like 3 days. It's like, stop, time out, no. You have to learn who you are first by yourself before you can learn who you are with someone else. And I'm going to mention that again when we get into our pagan path or witchcraft, because we carry the same structures from the Abrahamic faiths into paganism often. But I'll get into that later, or we will get into that later, because it happens. But yeah, if you can't accept yourself for yourself, by yourself, how are you going to have a healthy relationship with someone else? And do you do counseling, or are you doing the more, what are you doing over there nowadays besides the store, Sam?
Right. So things are starting to open back up a little bit more, and I'm working. Sorry, go ahead.
Are you still doing the Reiki?
Yeah, so I'm still doing the Reiki, and I'm still making the herbal products, the aromatherapy stuff, the CBD stuff. And so that's been good, and it's starting to pick back up more now that I'm in a place where I can branch out.
Awesome. So when it comes to Reiki healing, how often do people come to you for healing? They think, oh, well, I need some Reiki and that'll make my life all better. But they're not doing the work on themselves to make it all better.
I would say that 99% of the people that I've had sessions with, I think that, and even before I was able to acknowledge that, while it's great to have a repeat client over and over, it's more beneficial for everyone if you're able to impart to them ways that they can better their own lives and take care of their own energy, instead of having to consistently go see someone for their own healing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's like two people go into couples therapy, and one person says there's nothing wrong, and the other one says everything's their fault. There's no healing there. It doesn't matter how many times you go to therapy. Nothing changes.
Right. Yeah. It's really, until we're able to sit back and see the bigger picture, even in our own lives, it's hard to see the things that are not of service to ourselves. Mm-hmm. And with it recently being a full moon, the first of 2 for this wonderful month of October, that really letting things go and being aware of things in our lives that are not of service to ourselves, that can be let go and find other things to do that are of service, are beneficial, whether it's, structures or foods or relationships. It's not something that ever stops the need to evaluate the different pieces and phases of our lives.
Yeah, we should always be growing, because once we stop growing, we're declining, and it's really hard to come back from that. That's why people do get stuck in that rut, because they can't learn their way out of it. They can't allow that new knowledge or that new experience, because they're so cluttered up with the old stuff. So now, and it's, people will often stay, even in friendships, not just relationships, but friendships that aren't good for you, because it's known. It's a known quantity. It's the devil you know. Because what if there's one person that has been your friend for 20 years, has always been your best friend, and but once maybe they went down a path of negativity, and or maybe they got into drugs or abusive relationship or something, and they've become a toxic individual. Even in a friendship, a toxic individual will suck the living life right out of you.
So much.
And something I've had to do myself is sit down and do like a pro-con list. I'll use it. Normally it's for, things I want to do or life in general. But I've used it for people too, So person A in my life, what do they bring to the table? What do they take from the table? Are they stealing the silver while they're at it? Is it really the right person to have in my life? And, sometimes I think we do it not because we need that person to better ourselves, but we need that person in our life to make us feel better about ourselves. And
that's a hard one.
Yes, and there's it doesn't matter what kind of relationship it is. Sometimes we keep people in our lives that we shouldn't because we feel better than they are, and whatever the choices they're making, maybe it's their choice of clothes or their parenting style or their relationship choices, or whatever it is that they're doing. It's like, ooh, I'm better than you, so you're my friend. I feel good being around you because it makes me look better. And it's unfortunate that we have that, because it doesn't do us any good. It hurts us more than anything else. Because we stop growing when we are trying to compare ourselves to that other person. It's like, oh, I'm better than you. It's like looking. Okay, this is an easy one to poke fun at, but like the people of Walmart, those those pages, like, how often do we look at those types of images like, haha, you look so funny, and you might be joking and laughing. It's like, oh my gosh, I never would make that choice. I feel better about myself than because of this. And that's why a lot of those types of videos or pictures or whatever are so popular. It's because subconsciously your brain is saying, I am better than that. And, it's like you're putting someone else down to make yourself feel better, which is bullying at its core. So, holding on to a toxic friendship because you feel better than they are, or make you feel it makes you feel better. That's, I don't know, that's such a good thing. All right, so we have a caller. Hello, caller, area code 509. You're on the air.
Hi, Paisley. It's Lola.
Hey, Lola. How are you, lady?
I'm good. I wanted to comment on the toxic friendship thing.
Okay.
Because this is something I've been working on for a really long time. I've known this person for over 20 years, and we used to party together and do a lot of drugs together. And it was kind of like a war for us where we bonded.
Mm-hmm.
And then we both got sober, and but the toxicity of living a drug-fueled life can still stay with someone even if they're clean and sober. And it stayed with her, and I was able to get rid of that toxic energy.
Mm-hmm.
And she surrounds herself with chaos, and there's this part of me, she's great with my kids, and when she's a good person, but she's got undiagnosed mental things going on. I believe she's bipolar. I'm not a doctor, but I mean, she's manic some days, and then the other days she's just down, and it's getting worse and worse and worse, and I have distanced myself from her.
Mm-hmm.
And she uses a lot of manipulation to like pull me back in. And I consider myself a really strong, smart person, but for some reason I'll get sucked back in, and it's getting to the point where her toxic energy, because she's very unhappy, where her toxic energy it affects my kids now when they go up there, and now so I won't even bring the kids up there to see her. I like to check in with her and make sure she's okay. But when I go up there, it's like I got to wear my crystals and ground and get ready, and I can only deal with her in small doses. And it's getting to the point where I can't even go up to her house anymore. And I have tried to break free from the friendship, and she just, I don't know.
Hey, Lola, hold on. We're going to break. We'll be right back. Don't hold that thought, okay?
As we will, so mote it be, the spell forever does.
Hello, my lovelies. This is Paisley Wild, and we are off adventuring into this spaces between. I almost forgot to hit the unmute because I do it. So I've got Sam Michael is joining me. You can see him on the camera, and I've got a caller on the line, Lola. We're talking about structures, those that are good for us and those that are bad because they're out there. And Lola was kind of giving us a rundown of a toxic relationship that she's been dealing with, and break. Even though I'm looking at the timer, it still snuck up on me. I'm sorry, Lola. You still there?
It's okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm here. But just I just wanted to say that's
And
it's tough when you're in a friendship like that.
It really is because it's that relationship has been there for so long that and you guys have been through some stuff. But yeah, once they're toxic, or maybe once you've grown beyond the structure that they have, often it's what do you do? And when it comes to like drug usage or an addictive behavior, so if they're addicted to like a medication or a pill or whatever, and even in cleanup, often that addiction is transferred to something else. I know someone who was addicted to prescription pharmaceuticals. And once she went through the program, got cleaned up, her addiction switched from medications to video games. To the detriment of to her family. And unfortunately, it's... Yeah. It happens, and maybe she's addicted to the chaos now, probably because she hasn't done her shadow work.
Yes, that's it. Exactly, she's addicted to the chaos. That's exactly it.
And she needs the shadow work. And it's...
Yep, and she's not the kind of person, though, that you could say that to because she's not ready for that shadow work. So I'm just kind of in the last few years have weaned myself and my family from her because that's just the easiest way I can do it. So,
and sometimes that's what we have to do. As that's kind of sad, but yeah. What do you think, Sam? What do you do? Do you wean away? Do you cut the ties that bind, or?
Right. And each situation is going to be different. And it sounds like, Lola, that you have done a lot of your own work in being able to see what is good for you and what is toxic for you, and winning yourself back from this particular relationship seems that it has done what you've wanted it to. And it's as much as we can tell someone that they need to do their own work, that they need to do their shadow work, until they're ready to believe that or ready to do it themselves, it's not hugely beneficial. And it could further drive a wedge between the relationship. Not that there obviously isn't already things that are causing that now, but it's hard to know what step to take next in that situation.
Well, so Lola is a high priestess for her coven, and I'm sure you've counseled people in similar situations, right?
Yeah.
Oh gosh, yeah, that's why this is, for me, I counsel people who have gone through this. And I don't know if you're talking to me or Sam. I'm sorry.
I'm talking to you, my dear. So yeah, you're a high priestess. You have counseled people. I mean, you're a strong person, and I'm sure you help people through this. But when it comes to ourselves, it's hard to hear that same message.
Yeah, and each situation is different, and each relationship is different. I was able to distance myself from her for a really long time, and still am. I don't see her as much as I used to, but now it's gotten to the point, I believe, in the last year where I can't even be around her. It's so negative and it's so toxic. And I'm getting to the point now where I need to have a conversation with her and say, look, I love you, but you got to work on some stuff because it's literally seeping out of her skin. You know what I mean? When people are so toxic, you see their whole face and body transform into stuff. It's bad. It's just so bad. And it worries me, but at the same time, I can't be around it anymore. And so it is getting to the point where I need to say, okay, it's now to the point, like I said, it affects my children because they're pointing it out. And I can't even do I'll come see you once every few months. Now it's like, I just can't. It's so bad. And I feel bad for her because she's in an unhappy marriage. There's a lot going on. She's got health issues. She's got, this isn't just like she's a bad person. It's just she is not doing what she needs to do to get out of this chaos and this pain and this turmoil. She will not listen to anybody.
That's frustrating. Because I know you want what's best for her.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for listening to me. I felt like I really needed this hit home because I was just talking to my husband about this, saying, it's getting to the point now where I need to say, goodbye to this person and they need to heal away from me if they're going to heal.
Absolutely. My younger boy is 25 and I love him to pieces. And he needs to go through a healing time away from me. Because of that toxicity.
That's hard.
And as mom, I just want to fix it. So,
of course, and that's got to be hard being the mom,
Yeah, and but some things, I can support from a distance. I can send energy. I can think happy thoughts. I can, I'll light an incense or a candle for him periodically just to get that intention out there. Like, hey, I want you to heal and feel better about yourself. But I'm not the right person to help him in this section of the road. And sometimes when it comes to structure, as someone who helps guide others, I have to realize that sometimes I get so stuck in that thought process that I'm here to help people that there's sometimes I can't help. It's not my turn. It's not my job. And Sam's on the camera just shaking his head no. So, because I like fixing things, but sometimes it's not my path. It's not my turn. So thank you for calling in, my dear. I appreciate it.
Thank you, and I want to say thank you for saying that. That's actually very inspiring. So thank you so much. I'm going to carry that. Maybe this is not my turn to help this person. Thank you.
Well, yes, you're very, very welcome, my dear. Thank you for calling.
All right. Have a good Bye-bye.
Bye.
Good night, Lola.
That is hard. Acknowledging that sometimes it's not my turn. It's not my thing. I grew up a farm kid. I know how to fix things. I know how to do things. I can replumb a house. I can rewire a house. I can put in insulation and sheetrock. I could build a house if I really, really wanted to, because I know how. It's been a few years, but you know what? I'm old. I don't want to do those things. And hey, my birthday's coming up. I can embrace this old thing. Dang it! I got the wisdom highlights to prove it. But it's not my turn to build the house now. There are other people out there that have greater strengths when it comes to building the house. And so if we look at our life in a similar fashion, the house, if we allow those toxic people you know, into our lives, or or we hang on to those structures in our life that are not good for us, we end up with a house that's not going to stand up to the storms of time. We just won't. So, we had a question in the chat room. What is shadow work? And because I talk about shadow work all the time. I was like, hey, do your shadow work. And occasionally I come back in and explain what it is. So shadow work is, I had the exact phrasing here because I wanted to be as close to the exact, verbiage. Sam, if you want to jump in while I find out where I lost myself here.
Sure, let's ad-lib a little bit here. So, shadow work is the things that have stuck in our bodies, the energy that's stuck in our bodies from different things in our lives that have had an impact on us that we haven't been able to heal, to let go of. So, doing the shadow work is identifying what those are and figuring out what to do to heal those, to let go of those things. And it's not something that ever stops. Mm-hmm. And it gets less and less and less, or it can if you're diligent about keeping up with your shadow work. Mm-hmm. But it's really transformational.
It is.
When you actually figure out what it is and are able to move through it.
And this is one of those things why I talk about journaling. It's so important. And I'm going to talk about journaling on Talking Pagan on Sunday. If you want the link for the Zoom conference, you got to let me know. Send me an email, wildpaisley@gmail.com. But often, our shadow selves are the parts of us that we ignore, we sweep out of view, we don't want to deal with. Sometimes we don't need those parts, but sometimes it's just the part of us that we don't like. And often that those things that we don't like, that we've shoved into the back of our brains that we just don't want to deal with, that's what we see in others. So if we are obsessively critical about other people's physical appearance, odds are pretty good that we've got a deep-seated concern or problem with ourselves in our physical appearance. And so that's our shadow self that needs some work, and journaling is a great way to think about it. You go through it and figure out what's going on. But it's the projection of those things, onto others that we need to work on.
There's a comment that I want to jump on.
Okay, go ahead.
So if the part to heal is outside of you as another person, that's not your shadow work. Those narcissistic behaviors are that person's shadow work that they have to take care of. Much love to you for being in that situation. And I'm feeling like a little bit of alone introspection about that situation might bring you some clarity in what you might be able to do with that.
Yeah, so Marie, I would definitely, do some introspection, some thought processes, some thinking about it, ponder it, journal it. Write down what you're feeling. And sometimes when it comes to our journals, especially if you're in a household has someone who is a little narcissistic, perhaps, perhaps, journaling a little bit in code is a good thing, because you can. And because often, especially with narcissism, the person that you're writing about won't believe it's about them. Unless they think everything's about them. So it's so just write a little bit in code. And journaling is good, and I would say shadow work would be necessary if you're continuing on and you find or see another person with that same type of behaviors later. So, and as sometimes talking to a therapist or counselor really is the right thing to do. It really, really, really is. All right. So, yes. So Don's in the house. He's.
Are we having technical difficulties?
I just have some static. I don't know why. So, it could be operator error.
Hi, Don.
Oh, hey, Sam. I forgot you were on tonight. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Oh, I'm relieved. Today was the last day of that job, so I'm good.
Good.
Yeah. All right. So I have another call. Hold on. Area code 208. You're on the line. Hello. Hello.
Hello.
Hi, Julia. How
Hello.
are you?
So what's going on, Julia?
So, I have a question. So everybody knows I like death because I'm weird. My old friend, she used to be my old best friend, but stuff happened and we fell apart. Anyways, her mom just passed away, and they are in a pagan household. They don't necessarily worship a specific deity, but they're not Christian. So I was thinking about it, and I was like, I don't know what to bring to their household, because I know, like for example, some Jews, not all, sit Shiva, and certain cultures have certain things that they do for death. She was in the military, and they had their service earlier today, and I missed it because I had to work, and they didn't have a full military, but the father did receive the flag. So I guess I'm just wondering, as far as you know, for a pagan-y household, what should I bring them to say I love you?
So in that case, what I would do is look up different flower meetings perhaps. So is this someone you knew in your childhood?
Yeah, I knew her when I first moved up here. She was my first best friend, and oddly enough, she had a house up on the hill, and I ended up getting frostbite the first year that I was up here on my ankles because I love them, but they're crazy, dude.
So I would bring flowers. So like periwinkle is good for like fondness of past meetings, or irises for respect and honor. Something like that. Or you could frankincense and myrrh. Bring some something like that. You can also do there's pretty much any kind of incense, and something that maybe you help you or make you feel better, or in remembrance of her or of the family.
Okay.
So,
okay.
you can even write a letter to her, or depending on whom she follows. Was she like a follower of Hecate, or a different pagan deity, or Nordic, or whatever? Even if they're not really, really pagan, but they're definitely pagan. Okay, Craig's laughing at me. Sam's laughing at me.
No, I'm laughing at the comment. Sorry, the latest one.
Oh, nothing says I love you like alcohol.
Yeah, that one.
Healing and calming. Yeah, a little bit of
Well, and that's
vodka.
funny because we have mead, and I thought about bringing that because
Yeah.
it's weird because I was like, maybe I'll spend the night and we'll celebrate because in my world, you know, we kind of take a day to mourn, and then by nightfall we're like, okay, we're over this crap. Let's party. Let's get this done and over with, you know.
Well,
and that's just the way that I am, though. So, and that's kind of the way that she is. But I mean, I have some mead. I think we made it last year. I don't know.
Yeah, so I would take mead. Lavender's good. Maybe lavender candles would be good. Or if you get just white candles and anoint them with the lavender essential oil, as Sam nods his head yes. It's that kind of thing is good. And is it a celebration of life or a mourning of death? Depending on what they want to do, because sometimes you just got to roll with the flow and what it is that they are doing. So, yes, I would take a bottle of mead.
Yeah.
Keep an extra one in the car, because sometimes you need to, and just.
I actually might. They're over in Montana, so I might drop off the meat and pick up some other stuff.
There you go. So yeah.
And by other stuff, I mean 100 proof or whatever.
Oh, yeah, a little moonshine, a little shine there. Yeah. So. Yeah, and Marie in chat said that mentions that some don't consume alcohol because it's part of their spiritual journey. So she always asks before bringing, unless you know what they use, or best friend and you know what they use. So if you know the family indulges in adult beverages from time to time, that's yes. But, you can't go wrong with, some lavender candles. No, you really, really can't.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
You are very welcome. And if you have any other questions, let me know. Send me an email. Give me a holler. You know what to do.
All right. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Julia. Bye.
Hey, Julia.
So, let's see. There's a question in the chat room. So one of our listeners talked to Deb, our friend the psychic.
Oh, she was on the portal tonight.
Yep, she was on the portal,
That's
and she was told that she should cleanse
the new house. Yeah.
Cleanse a new house. Best way to do that. What do you say, Sam?
Oh, that's such a great question, and there's so many different ways to do that. It's always good to cleanse a new space that's going to be a part of your life from whatever was there before. So new house. I'm feeling a little bit, pardon my not talking for a moment here. Sage. You're going to want sage for this one. Some frankincense. Lavender. A tapered black candle. And then once that's done, you can bury some smaller quartz pieces. I was seeing if I had one close to show you, but I don't. So, maybe a small piece of quartz. I mean, 4 of them, and bury them on the 4 corners of the house. And then you can have a larger one that would be in the middle of the house, if you will. Mm-hmm. But that's after the house is cleansed. And so you've cleansed the house, and so now it's a blank canvas, really. And we want to tip the scale towards positive. So positive things are fruity things, good floral things. Lavender is more cleansing than than positive, even though it's a great relaxing scent and plant. So citrusy things, happy citrusy things are great. And whether it's an essential oil or there's a super awesome citrus air freshener that you can find at most stores. I don't remember, Citrus Fresh maybe, but all it is the essential oil in a non-aerosol can,
Okay.
or it might be an aerosol can. It's a compressed air can. It's really pretty eco-friendly. Um, but really, we're tipping the scale. So once the black candle is burned, that's helping us to remove that negative energy or any negative energy, not implying that there is any there already. But
Oop.
um,
Hey, guess what? Time out. It's break time. We'll pick that up when we come back. Hello, my lovelies. This is Paisley Wild, and we are off adventuring into the spaces between because, hey, that's what we do every Friday and Saturday night, right? So, just real quick, Elaine, on the cleansing, make sure when you're doing the process, you start at one corner and you work your way through the rest of the house, but the final end, you want to make sure you got a window or a door open for all that negative energy or previous energy.
Well, she says it's not negative. It's not negative. It's just a fresh clean.
Yeah, so whatever previous energy may have
Right.
been there to have that go away. So.
And so, therefore, tonight I dedicate the singing bowl to your house.
Oh, look at you go.
Yes.
Yeah.
And there we go. A great way to start a new space. Just that's awesome.
I love my bowl.
You said it's a 5 Buddha bowl, right?
It's a 5 Buddha bowl. There's 5 Buddhas in there.
There's not a whole lot of light on you. You don't have your lights behind you.
I know. I just have the little my crystal ball and the selenite tower that you can't see. But yeah,
You
no.
barely see the crystal ball. But
Yeah,
anyhow.
so yeah, 5 Buddhas in the camera. Blah.
So, Sam, why don't you go ahead and finish up? Why don't you you listed the things that you recommend her to use. Go ahead and list, if you would, order of operation, if you will.
Sure. That means that I have to remember what I said. So I said sage. Sage is good. Sage from top to bottom in that order. And cleansing usually in a counterclockwise, starting at the front door through the rooms and back to the front door. But we can get into the do's and don'ts of saging, but what it comes down to is make sure that you are grounded before you start, and listen to what your intuition says. If your intuition says no, go clockwise, then go clockwise. That's I'll put that in the category, structure. What's our title tonight? I don't have anything up that has it on it. Structures, love them or leave them. So that one goes into that category because it really is the practitioner's choice.
Mm-hmm.
Just make sure that your intention is there as to what you want for that space.
Absolutely.
So that was the sage, and then I said
myrrh and frankincense, or not myrrh, lavender and frankincense.
Mm-hmm. Lavender and frankincense and
lavender
crystals. Quartz.
And quartz.
And
a black candle.
A black candle, and then the quartz. So the black candle I would do after you've saged, and just let it burn all the way down, and maybe take note of what the flame does as it's burning down, whether it just burns all the way through or goes out partway through. Most of the time, if it burns a quarter of the way or half the way and it goes out, then whatever your intention is done in that moment. But it doesn't mean to get rid of the candle. You can use it again if you feel like you need to use it again at a later point in time.
So on that note, I'm
frankincense.
going to interrupt just real quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sometimes I use birthday candles for this kind of thing because...
Oh, perfect. Absolutely.
Yeah, you can get black birthday candles, especially right now.
Mm-hmm.
right now.
Well, no, they do them for like 50th birthday parties and stuff too. So yeah, you can black birthday candles. Mm-hmm. Because I'll use birthday candles for any of that. Partly because there's a happy intention behind birthday candles. Just that they're very basis. They're happy, So yeah, but yeah, black birthday candles. So yeah, sorry, interrupted, but yes, there you go.
No, that's great. Another practitioner, friend, colleague of mine, also uses birthday candles for those sorts of things because it ensures that it's going to burn all the way through, really, before something happens to it. Mm-hmm. I mean, obviously, it can go out if if the universe or whatever deity you're working with wants to convey a message, then just be ready for that. And let's see, and then the frankincense, you can burn the resin on a charcoal disc. You can use the essential oil. You could get some frankincense incense, and that's still going to be cleansing. And then putting the positive back into it is the last thing that we're going to do before we put the crystals in the ground outside. So the positive traditionally is clockwise through the space, top to bottom. However, if your intuition says otherwise, then definitely follow that. And then burying the crystals outside on the four corners and then the one in the middle. The idea behind that is putting an energetic pyramid over your space.
Mm-hmm. Yes. So that, you mentioned, depending on what your intuition says, that once I mentioned earlier, I wanted to come back to our pagan path in general, or witchcraft, either one. So many of us who are now pagans, or have been pagans for a while, or just discovering paganism and witchcraft and such, we come from the Abrahamic traditions, or the Abrahamic faiths, and so we're accustomed to following a singular type of deity and the structure that goes along with that type of situation. Whereas just, I worship this one individual. Well, generally speaking, in paganism, we're not really worshiping. We're honoring something a little bit different. And because, maybe we've been taught that, no, we worship, we do an offering, we dress up, we do this, we do that in a specific orders, and we have to go every Sunday. And so we take that same mentality and we apply it to paganism and witchcraft. And then we don't understand why it doesn't work, or why it doesn't feel right, or why you're not getting the results that you thought you should be getting. And it's time to stop and take a step back, reevaluate things, and put the Abrahamic thought process away, because you're not going to achieve what you're wanting to achieve. At least not in the way you think you're going to. There are some things that are going to be similar, like incense. A lot of people in other faiths, use incense. Yes. Some use singing bowls. Pretty much everybody uses candles in some way, shape, or form. Or bells. Or has some sort of ritual tools. They're all a little different. They're all used a little bit differently. But generally speaking, and I'm not going to say absolutely 100%, because nothing is ever really 100%, but the structure or the forms that go with Christianity don't apply to the pagan path or to witchcraft. And I'm sure you've seen it, Sam. Woods Wizard, Rick, and Lola, I'm sure they've seen people with that same thought process. I'm trying to figure out what they need to do, or why their rituals aren't working, or why their spell casting isn't working, and it's not a petition to a deity like a prayer would be in when you go to church. A spell is similar in its structure, but it's you're focusing. Sorry, cat. You're trying to focus your own energies to do things. I don't know, what do you think, Sam?
Yeah, that's interesting. I think a lot of us, were brought up under Abrahamic traditions where this is what you did, and when you didn't really know why, you just did it every day, every day or every Sunday, if you did go to a service every Sunday. And it may not have been something that you understood why you were doing that, except that that's just what your family did, and you were a part of that family, so you went.
Mm-hmm.
And really, whether you're, you know, working with one or multiple deities and honoring them, I really appreciate that you said honoring versus worship, Paisley, because it it's really important that not only are we learning to honor these deities, honor the universe, if you're on that scale, or the source creator, so on and so forth, um, but being able to honor yourself in that process.
Mm-hmm.
Because the traits and these deities in the universe, we're a part of that, and that's a part of us. So if we're not honoring ourselves in that, we're not really honoring that to the best we can.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I had a person in chat had a question. It's like, what are the Abrahamic faiths? Because they say Abrahamic often. It says basically the faiths that started with Abraham, like Christianity, Islam, Judaism, that kind of thing. Those are some of the currently more traditional faiths than there were, once upon a time. And there's a lot of structure involved in those faiths, a lot of dogma in those faiths, and that structure gets brought into our everyday lives. I mean, how many school and work holidays are a result of Christianity, for instance? As Sam laughs at me, yes. Well, that, and I think the chat room likes your beard, by the way.
Whose beard? Don's beard? My beard?
Your beard.
Oh, my beard, right, yes.
And you're not grumpy.
I'm what?
Not grumpy.
Oh, no, not usually.
So, but so yeah, yeah, it's, I don't know. Yeah, I see. I guess I see a lot of that. People who are more. They assume that, hey, I worship Hecate, for instance. There's a big trend in following Hecate, especially as we approach Halloween or Samhain, because she's considered a dark goddess. Okay, well, that's all fine and dandy and all, but it's not really a worship. Like you might think. You can petition her. That's what the spells are. That's what you're doing in ritual. You're petitioning her for some help or some guidance or direction. But it's not really worship that the deities are requesting.
It's just honoring and
mm-hmm.
just making sure that you acknowledge them.
It's just like you should be honoring your ancestors too.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you've got your ancestors on one hand and the deities in your other hand, which one's going to give you the best results when it comes to asking for help?
Yeah, who are you closest to?
Generally speaking, it's going to be your ancestors. Generally. Now, there are times I think when the deities are intervening directly. I think right now we're trending in a fashion where the deities are intervening more or working with us more. But I think that's the time that we live in. And I mentioned, like, a year ago? A year and a half ago? I don't know. I've been on for a while now. That, when I first said, hey, we're moving into a different age. And the deities, I think, are going to be back among us. Moving, not necessarily tomorrow or next week. Odds are good not in 2020 because nobody wants to be here.
No.
But down the road, I see the deities coming back into the world in a stronger presence. That's my feel. What do you think, Mr. Sam? I keep wanting to call you Samwise, by the way.
So, yeah, it's crazy. I keep feeling like the rest of this year, we don't know what's in store. It's been, about like a Yahtzee cup for the, we'll just shake it up and see what we get. And so I feel like that's what the rest of this year has. I don't have a clue as to what's going to happen, and I think that's the best we can do right now.
Yeah, I'm tired of sitting at the craps table.
Right?
Can we
But
go to
it's
blackjack? Yeah.
it's I don't know. I think that this has given everyone the opportunity to reevaluate, their own spiritual path, and if it hasn't, it should have.
Mm-hmm.
Because without our spiritual path and being true to ourselves, we're not living our purpose as to why we're here.
Yeah. 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 I'm just leaving it. Yeah. Sorry. Yes.
Yeah.
That growth that I think so many are experiencing is part of the change and the transition. But a lot of people went into the lockdown, and they came out of the lockdown. They're like, that's not really what I wanted. So in a way, here in the U.S. at least, we had the 2 month where everything was locked down. We had a chance to reevaluate the structures that we had been living in and putting up with and figuring out and just dealing with. That all had to come to a screeching halt. And so as life started opening up again, it's like, so now what? So for like me personally, I was working a 9-to-5 job, and I was driving 45 minutes one way to get there. And it's it went into lockdown. I was like, why do I do this to myself? Is this really what I want? The 9-to-5 job? Is this really paying the bills the way I thought it would? Is it feeding my soul the way I hoped it would? Is it doing what I need for my family? And there's a whole lot of no's in those conversations. And it's like, all right, well, if that's the case, what do I need to do differently to meet my needs? And so now I've got a 2-hour show on Friday and Saturday. That was one of them. And which I like, because I don't feel like I have to rush through material to get everything I want to say out. So I'll probably be revisiting some topics that I had earlier, but so I can actually stop and spend some time on them. But I'm able to spend more time with my daughter because I reevaluated things, and I found a part-time job that allowed for me to, do what I needed to do and keep with the same cash flow. And so I can homeschool, which is good. And because I don't necessarily think that Mini-Me needs to go to school right now.
No.
And then she gets to go to jiu-jitsu, which she loves.
You know what? That's an interesting thing, that you bring up, because I was talking to somebody, a customer I was working with the other night, and they're from Puerto Rico. And Puerto Rico is a United States territory, not a state. And they were talking about they were homeschooling like their 4 grandkids, and the mom, their daughter was there. 2 of them were her kids, and that they wanted to take this time to instill their beliefs, what they believe, and the way they want the children taught. They were talking about history. History's wrong.
Mm-hmm.
They were talking about how the history that's being taught is wrong. It's not true history. It's what has been scrubbed and sanitized. So talk about changing structure.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of like, the whole idea behind these people. Some of these people are realizing that the school is not what the school should be.
Mm-hmm.
And they're finally realizing that structure has been
warped.
Yeah, it's been undermined. It's been just not up to par anymore. And people are starting to realize this. So, as I said, part of the changing the structure, changing your family structure to fit the family instead of changing the family structure to fit society.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think that's true across the board. The number of people I've talked to now that now we're homeschooling, we went through a K-12 program for Mini-Me because they already had the curriculum in place and they already knew how to do, an online school without having to figure it out, halfway through the term, which that was an adventure. But it's some of it totally makes sense. There's some things that they do that's like, I don't remember phonics being like that, but okay. Or math, or, but some of it, I'm learning the new math, but I'm learning it as a first grader, which I suppose is the best way for me to learn the new math. But, it's that the structure of the public school system. Everybody assumes, oh, nope, that's a great place to send our kids because they're going to learn what they need to learn to be successful adults in our society. And anybody who believes that 100% has just to look at what our society is doing right now, here in the U.S. specifically, and they'll understand that maybe that the public school system has dropped the ball.
No.
A lot. Me and I are like juggling. But they're just like throwing them out and not catching anything. So, yes, you want to say something, Sam?
Someone that I have been getting to know, someone else in our community here, their job now, they were a classroom aide, and their job now during the classroom sessions of online schooling is to stare at the screen and ensure that every child is within screen view, so that to ensure that they're, in school for, the times that they should be. And I don't know, it's just...
Okay, that's weird.
It's... Yeah, okay, yeah, it is. Yep, exactly. I'm like, oh, that makes me uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So...
Well, and we've heard stories now.
About the kid who was in class and he was playing with a like an airsoft gun, and all an airsoft gun is it's a plastic BB.
Mhm.
And he was in the confines of his own home in his own room, and the teacher saw it or the proctor saw it, whatever that was, whoever saw it reported it, and they suspended him. What sense does that make?
I mean, he's already at home.
Yeah.
Is he got in-school suspension now?
He's got in-home suspension. And so yeah, we've seen that, and there was another one I read something about somebody saw something behind the child that they considered inappropriate, and that child was, there's somebody
Like
somebody
CPS
talked
got
to him,
called
yeah,
or something
like that.
Yeah, and I have a little bit of a problem bringing the public school system into the home, and it's
Oh
break
my
time.
God.
Jeez, Pete.
Oh, jeez.
All right.
Be back.
Sorry, guys. I can't tell time apparently.
The spell forever done. Sisters of the shining moon, heaven, earth, and sea, I call upon you in this hour, bring magic, magic, magic unto me.
Why is it skipping? Everything's skipping tonight.
Brothers, oh, the cauldron cries, it singeth unto me. The songs of Mother Goddess and the Father in the tree.
Hello, my lovelies. This is Paisley Wild, and we are off adventuring into the spaces between. And this is the part of the show where the cat interrupts us with her tail. So sorry about that. Drama likes to be on camera. So we're talking about structure tonight, and just before the break, we were talking about the structure of the education system here in the U.S. and how everything has changed with the coronavirus. So many people are unable to go to school because of shutdowns and whatnots. And so the school district is now in, the public school is now in our private home and trying to treat the private home like the public school.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, that's great for them, but not so great for a lot of us that really like our private spaces. I mean, if I had Mini-Me's camera pointed at my altar, for instance, how would the school district take that? Probably not very good, especially if they, like my Athame is a hunting knife. I mean, hey, I found it.
He's laughing, yeah.
It is. I had been thinking about getting an Athame and I couldn't find one. I was out elderberry picking about a year ago, just over a year ago, and one of my trees had decided that no, it just didn't have enough berries for me to pick, and I turned around and there's this knife laying right at my feet, just laying on the ground. So I was like, woohoo, I guess I have an Athame. Thank you. From wherever it fell out of the sky, you know.
At least
I'm just glad I was. Yeah, I'm just glad I wasn't standing there when it fell. So, you know, but you know, the crystal ball in the background, or you know, like, they probably wouldn't have a problem with some of the brooms, but like the but the headdresses I have, and the altar setup itself. If I had the crystal bowl sitting on top of it, and you know, if I had deity figurines up, or you know, like, oh, so you worship, you know, Satan in the background? Is that what that is?
Only for you Christians,
right? Sorry, it's just a different deity. So, yeah. Just people, you know, they don't understand what they don't understand, and they don't want to. You'd think educators would be a little more open-minded, for crying out loud. But, you know, so that's education is one thing, that's the one structure that's been really changed with the coronavirus. Our approach to it and our acceptance of the education system as is. I mean, our education system really hasn't changed much since Thomas Jefferson. That was a long time ago, guys.
I think it's changed a lot since Thomas Jefferson.
Well,
I just think it's gone the wrong way.
Yeah, I said not a lot, but some. I mean, we're still being educated to, you know, go to work every day.
Yeah.
And follow rules and schedules and stuff that other people set. Anyways, you know, but that's education. So, I know I've seen stories on, online, and I've heard about it actually from other people that after they've been in lockdown with their significant other for 2 months, they're like, WTF, why did I do that? We're getting a divorce as soon as, you know, the attorney goes back to work, because when they decided to shut down and go away, they really shut down and went away. Because they were just not compatible people. They grew apart, or whatever caused them to get together in the first place just wasn't there. Or they realized that maybe the teacher wasn't the problem with their kids. There's some of that too. I've met some of those kids. Or, you know, they figured out, hey, you know, that job really isn't the one they really wanted. You know, and so, you know what, when that happens, We need to look at ourselves. It's like, what have we done to make the choices to get us to this point? And if we don't like where we're at, what are we going to change about ourselves to go to where we want to go? And sometimes the things that we have to change about ourselves is altering our own structure, our belief structure, our habit structure, or our relationship structures. I mean, if you think, no, everything's fine, I'm perfect, but I need to make $2 an hour more per hour, but you're not going to work harder, you're not going to find a better job, you're not going to work more hours, you're not willing to make the changes that you need to make those extra $2 an hour, you're not going to get the $2 an hour. Unless it's an act of Congress, of course. But, yes, Sam. You're laughing at me now. Because it could be
It was a great choice of words with current things,
Right? Yes. But, it's real, though. If you're not willing to work on yourself, if you're so stuck in, there's nothing wrong with my structure and my thought structure and my emotion structure, there's nothing wrong with that, so everybody else has to change. Well, the only thing that anybody can really change, the only person that anybody can ultimately change is themselves. You cannot change another person. You cannot heal another person. So if you go in a relationship thinking, oh, this broken person is such a perfect person, if they just didn't have this whatever, leaving the lettuce in their teeth or whatever, and I can fix it. Well, unless you're going to sit there, hold them down, and brush their teeth for them, odds are good you're not going to get the lettuce out of their teeth. If someone doesn't want to change, there's not a doggone thing you can do to make them change. So just like other people's belief systems, Christians aren't going to accept paganism, generally speaking. We don't fit in their belief system. There's more stories about that in the Bible than you could shake a stick at. And that's not even and that's in the Bible. That's not talking about today. Because there's still that today. So it's just, what structures do we need to look at that we've accepted as normal or the must-be's that we can directly influence to change and to have that growth that we need. Some of them we can't really do much for. Like here in the U.S., our political system is a little out of whack. Just a little
I think it's out of whack
bit.
Across the world.
Yeah. Yes.
Yep.
Yeah. If you need to get news for outside of the U.S., you may have to look outside of the U.S. for those news stories, because we're really focused on ourselves right now. But yeah, everything's a little weird right now, and what today we can't affect politics that much. Here in the U.S., we've got the election coming up in November. There's some changes you can affect by going out to vote. But there's going to be bigger changes, actually, by having a conversation with the people around you where you guys can learn from each other and grow rather than just, assuming that you're going to bully someone into changing. I don't know. What are your thoughts there, Sam? You got about 15 minutes.
Oh, it's so much. I really think that the takeaway is you're going to be able to affect things the most the more you work on yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And the more that you're true to yourself and to your heart, and that you're listening to the universe, that you're listening to your heart and following your purpose here. for your time on Earth. And if that dictates that you need to make a hard choice to end a relationship, or, you know, whether that is a romantic relationship, a platonic relationship, a work relationship, a location relationship, you know, any interaction between us and something outside of us is a relationship. So any of those can be words. Any of those can be toxic. Any of those can be healthy. Any of those can need work, and we just have to be open to what that might look like for ourselves and really be willing to make those changes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You know, in the first part of the show tonight, I mentioned the pros and cons list. You can do it, write out that pro and con list for anything, whether it's if you want to buy the car, look at the list. You want to get the pet, you know, write down the list. You know, pros and cons of having a pet. Who's doing the chores? Is that a pro or a con? You know, depends. Is it a cat box? That's a con. But you know, you can do the same thing with any of the structures in your life. If you have a job you're not sure about, sit down and write the pro and con list. You know, what do you like about the job? What do you not like about the job? If you did change the job, what are you going to do? How are you going to achieve it? It's, you know, later this year I'm going to talk about setting goals and stuff and reverse engineering the goal to develop a plan to achieve it, because I think we all need something like that sometimes. Next weekend we're talking about mindfulness with Sindel and Judge.
Judge is going to be here?
Yep, Judge will be here
Sweet.
too. And we have to be very mindful of ourselves and our path and what we're doing. And yeah, that, you know, what are we doing? What are we trying to accomplish? You can't just stumble through life, you know, ricocheting off each wall, hoping you're going to get to the end of the race intact. It's just... So yeah, you know, take a deep breath. Look at your structures. Because some of them you absolutely have to have. They're good for you. They're what you need. Others, it's the parable in the Bible where you're talking about building your house on a rock versus sand. Okay, if you put those two things in a pro and con list, you know, which is better for you? Yeah, you're building on a rock. So even though I'm not Christian, I'm telling you, you want to build on the rock, guys. So it's just look at your structures, whether it's a relationship. If it's a toxic relationship, what do you need to do to get out of the toxic relationship? Is it slowly work yourself away from them? Is it to cut them off completely? I've done both with mixed success on both. If it's a toxic job, because, yeah, there's toxic employers out there. Doesn't matter what your gender is, or your belief system, or anything like that. Yeah, there are toxic jobs out there that you just want to walk away from. But before you walk, yes, Sam, you and I both know you've had one of those at least. Mm-hmm. And, you know, it's, you know, what do you need to do to get the different job that's going to support you in the lifestyle that you want to have? And if you can't find one that's going to support you in the lifestyle that you want to have, you know what? You need to look at your lifestyle. Because here in the U.S., at least, we have a lot of the keeping up with the Joneses mentality. And that's a structure all by itself. It's a very consumerist-based structure. I got to buy the latest and greatest phone, the latest and greatest car. I got to have the name brand clothes. I got to have the biggest TV. I got to have this game system. I got to have that computer, etc., etc. How much of that do you really need? Which is better for your budget? $500 a month car payment with $300 a month car insurance, or a car that's 10 years old and is paid for, and your car insurance is $50. I mean, which structure or leg of your structure is better in that respect? If you're, budgets are very much a structure. If your expenses are greater than your income, that's a bad structure. It's going to collapse like a wet, soggy house of cards. You don't want that. And we're not making paper mache airplanes. So, just, what is it in your life that you're doing or holding on to that is keeping you from growing? People, relationships, jobs, lifestyle choices. Yeah, lifestyle choices. You don't have to go out to eat every day. It's better for you if you buy food and cook it at home. I don't know. Yeah, simple. Cat says simple is a much easier way of life. Yes, you downsize significantly to get to simple. And it is easier. So, I don't know. Thoughts there, Mr. Sam? I keep talking. You just keep nodding. It's all that wine you had versus all the coffee I had, isn't it?
All that wine. Yeah, I'm on my half glass. I've had one, and this is a half. So, yeah, all that wine.
Well, you've had wine, and I've had a 20-ounce mug of coffee. So, yeah.
Oh, jeez.
So, yes.
I'd be bouncing off the walls. Hi, Kathleen. Hi, Kat. Before I forget, I've seen your comments pop up, but I'm not signed in over there to comment back. So, hi. Yeah, it's, in the few months that I was off work that I got to spend on my own, myself and my cat, no pun intended, not the same cat that I was saying hi to. Anyway, I got to learn more about myself, and I got to figure out things that were working for me, things that weren't working for me. I pretty much sold all of my stuff before I moved over here, so definitely minimalist. And then I figured out simple meals, things that I enjoyed, things that were pretty simple to make, that were also not as expensive as going out to eat every night. And it was really food that I enjoyed. And one thing that we don't often take into consideration with going out to eat is the energy of the person that's preparing and serving our food.
Mm-hmm.
And that was something that I acknowledged the other day with going out to eat at one place over here, that maybe I needed to do that less often, because even though I was ordering healthy things, my body was still reacting to them in the same way as if I was ordering the deep fried whatever. So I decided that I'm just going to cook at home more, because it's what I need to do for me. And when I was able to cook my own food before, not able. So the new place that I've moved into, the kitchen is under construction. So I've got an Instant Pot on the way, which will be great. But there's only so much you can do with a microwave. And my views on microwaves are not great for having to use one every day if I want something warm to eat. So it's definitely been a learning experience, but I don't know. I wouldn't change it.
Mm-hmm. It sounds like you're eating a lot of salad that you don't have to cook.
Right? Yeah.
That's so hard. We went through a kitchen remodel a couple of years back, and yeah, it was It was interesting. Yeah, it was interesting. Good thing there was a barbecue available to barbecue on. Barbecue. Yes, it's my friend. So, yeah. So structure. Yeah, in that, you're stuck to you got to deal with the structure of the timeline. For getting the kitchen done. That's I mentioned earlier. Sure, I could pipe it or plumb it. I could wire it, tile it, sheetrock it, etc., etc. Am I the right person to do that job these days? Nope. That is not part of my structure. So, and it's okay to sit down and look at your life and say, you know what, this just doesn't fit into the house that I'm building anymore. It's not part of my structure. Whether it's a person or a thing or a place. Sometimes we need to move because we do. It is really, really okay to say, you know what, that doesn't fit. We don't need that anymore.
Right.
It's really okay to say that, and we need to be more okay with being okay that that's okay.
It's just okay. Yeah, because we're told, oh no, let's get it figured out. We just tough it out. It'll be okay. We'll get through it.
Or you get told it's the way we've always done it.
Oh, I hate that phrase.
Oh, I want to slap you.
Yeah, exactly.
So bad.
But just because that's the way you've always done it doesn't mean that's the best way or even a good way to do it. There may be a better way that comes around because of technology, or somebody figured out an easy way to do it. Like they invented a wheel. They found fire. Cook meat. That kind of thing.
Right. So yeah, it really we need we need to give ourselves permission to say no. That isn't part of our structure. That's not part of the house that we're going to deal with. And we're conditioned, I think, at least here in the U.S., that no is not something that we can just say.
Right.
Or it's not part of who we need to be.
You're supposed to give it the old college try.
Try again. Try until you succeed. But you know what? Sometimes that's really not what you need. So, it's okay to say no. It is okay to say, no, I don't need that toxic person.
Or no, I don't need to take on that project. Or no, I need to, change this in my life for my betterment.
Yes. No, I don't need that promotion because I want to spend more time with my family. Because a lot of times those promotions come with more hours. So.
Well, that's kind of like why I shifted jobs. That's part of the reason.
Yeah. If you have a roommate that parties it up all the time and that's not your gig, it's okay to say no and consider moving to a different place. You don't have to be part of that because it's not part of your structure. It's not part of who you are at this point in your life. And it's not part of who you want to be in your life tomorrow because it's not part of your growth process. It's not part of your journey. It's not your baggage. Don't pick up the baggage that somebody else is carrying and take it on as your own. It's just going to hold you back and keep you from growing. So why would you pick up somebody else's bags? If you do it at the airport, you get in trouble. So everybody's at the airport. Everybody has their own baggage. Don't pick up somebody else's baggage.
Yeah, and don't overpack because you don't need that crap.
Right? So, yes, don't pick up somebody else's baggage. It's not good for you. And say no. Just say no. Just say no to the baggage.
Give Sam a chance to talk.
Back in a previous life, instructor that I had for a certain job, let's see, if it's ooey gooey and not yours, don't touch it. think that fits this pretty well.
Yes, exactly. So, just Sam, don't go anywhere. Real quick, Duke is on next. Adventures in the Bigfoot world, I think. I don't know.
World Bigfoot Radio.
World Bigfoot Radio. Yeah, he's off doing other things. Yeah, everybody likes the singing bull. I'm not singing it because I'm talking.
Okay, let Sam give his information.
Sam, what's your website again?
Trulymystical.live.
And Facebook?
Facebook.com/trulymystical.
There you are. You're just a mystic kind of person.
There you go.
So yeah, check out Sam's apothecary that he's got going on, and some really good stuff there, everybody. And so we will see you guys tomorrow night. We're talking about the throat chakra, just so you know. Clear your throat. Sam, hang on. So good night, everybody. Merry meet, merry part, and merry meet again. And we'll see you tomorrow night.
Good night.
Lord, within the sun, as we will, so mote it be, the spell forever done.